Hey everybody, it's Caesar, aka Critical Art 64, doing another Reddit art critique number 2 in an ongoing series. So I decided to do this piece called The Chalice by Zachary Magnusson, aka U/Ignition.
Fresh out the kitchen.
Yeah, so I picked this one because it caught my eye. He said my first complete digital work. So yeah, let's open this up. Alright, so here we have it in all its glory. First with the strengths. You actually took a swing. A lot of people, when they like to draw people, they don't really do too much as far as backgrounds. You actually tried to tell a story. A lot of work here. You got a fountain, cypress trees, a bush. I think that's bamboo. Some leaves of some sort. This fluorescent plant. I'm pretty sure these are roses. Pretty good. Yeah. I'm getting a really strong Oprah from A Wrinkle in Time look. It kind of gives, the way you drew this jawline with the chin sticking out kind of reminds me of Klasky Chupo. They're the ones that do the Rugrats, Rocket Power.
We are riders on a mission, action, kids in fun condition, prepare to count down, rocket power.
Yeah. Looks like Otto's mom, maybe. So let's get into this. The first thing, again, square. I went over that in my first video. It's going to shorten your form again. First thing that glares out on me is the proportion. You have the shoulders and the head are more or less in proportion to each other, but the hands are really small. About the size of the hands are the size of the face. That's like that old joke, the size. If your hands are bigger than your face, you have cancer kind of joke that they used to do. You touch your hand on the face, and then they hit your hand, and you squash your nose. It's kind of what's going on here. But there's a lot of issues here. I'll go into each one, but the main thing that I want you to consider, really, if you pick up anything from this critique, there's only one thing that I want you to focus on, and that's improving your eye. Because I'm going to go over the color, I'm going to go over the perspective, I'm going to go over proportion, I'm going to go over composition, but all that stuff is only going to confuse you if you do not have the main, which is your eye. And what do I mean by that? First off, what's happening here is you're getting really excited. And why I say that is, look at the cheeks. You're looking at a face. Your brain is going, oh my god, an eye. So you're drawing a symbol of an eye, right? And you're saying, oh my god, a nose. You're drawing a symbol for a nose. Oh my god, lips. So you're drawing a symbol for lips. Instead of actually drawing eyes, nose, and the lips, you kind of have a collection of symbols that are pasted together. You could say you're going for more of a cartoony look. I'll go into that, but the reason why I know that's the case is look how it doesn't quite connect with the overall shape of the head. It looks like you drew the head and then you started drawing the eyes and the nose and the mouth separately without considering how they work together inside of the head. So what do you have to do to fix that? Well, one of the main things is improving your eye. And what is that? So the first thing is measuring, whether you actually have to use an actual ruler or a proportional divider or your thumb or your pencil, comparing. So measuring is a big part of it, because sometimes your eyes will deceive you, especially right now you're in your head. Simplifying your form. So what do I mean by simplifying? Let's take this realistic eye here. Now, you have a lot of emotions about what the eye is. Your mind has an idea about what an eye is. Your mind's going to tell you, oh, it's a football. Well, your mind is wrong. We don't really see with our eyes. We see with our minds. Now, to improve your eye, you have to learn how to see with your eye. So how do you simplify this form? You break it down. Now, if I ask somebody to draw this eye, how many people can actually do this? Very few. But you got to think, all images are is just differences of light and dark, color and other color. That's really all you're seeing, differences of value, differences of color, and that creates shape and that creates form. So if I asked you just to draw this arch right here, you'd be able to do it, I'm pretty sure. If you could draw any of that, I'm sure you could. Don't think of it as an eye, just think of this line. Now eventually you'll graduate to learning how to color with edges, how to draw with color, but first just understand the contour line, just the basic shape, just drawing this. I'm pretty sure anybody with even a rudimentary grasp of how to move their hand and eye can draw this shape, right? Simplify it until it's something you can do. Then what's the other shape? You have, you have this right here, this shape, right? And then you have this shape. I'm not thinking of an eye, right? I'm just thinking about differences of color, differences of value, and just outlining it into a shape, right? Right, just outlining the values. That's all. Now, any of these individual shapes, I'm sure you can draw. But when you think of it as an eye, your mind gets excited and starts telling you lies like this is what an eye is, and you mess up, right? That's not what this is. This isn't that. What this is just a series of simple shapes. And then also think, how long is this compared to how tall this is? What is this angle compared to these angles, right? That's how you find the angle. You compare parts of it to each other, and that's how you learn how to see. That's the thought process. And also understanding on a fundamental level what it is you're drawing. Now, how I know that that's your issue is, let's imagine what the skull is like on this. Like this, right? This is more or less where the skull would be like under this skin. Okay, now here's mine. I'm going to zoom in here. That's what the skull would look like on mine. Okay, now let's just see only the skulls, right? There you go. Kind of proto-hominid look to it. Let's look at mine. Boom. See? So this will help you get out of your head when you can understand how the skull is actually shaped. You can understand how each of the features relates to each other, how the nose and the eyes are connected, how the mouth and the nose is connected. Without that, it's like you're drawing stickers that are on like a Mr. Potato Head kind of look. You know, you put the eyes, you put the nose, you put the mouth, without really considering how they anatomically are related. And this will also take you, right now you're drawing odd proportions. This will take you out of that, because you'll be understanding on a more fundamental level what it is you're drawing, instead of getting caught up in your emotional ideas. Now, I would say learn the science first. And once you learn the science, then you can start putting the emotion back. Because right now, you're overthinking things. You see lips, you get excited, so you draw big lips. See, this is what it looks like normally. I warped it a little bit. That's what it looks like. See what I mean? Just a slight move down where the eyes are more in the center, the nose is more in the center here, the mouth is a little more under control, the chin is smoothed out more. It still has its issues, but I think you would agree there's a slight improvement with that, right? Another thing I wanted to bring up is your color theory. Now, first and foremost, just develop your eye. That's the first thing. I'll make a whole video on that. This other stuff you can look up at a later time. This stuff is tertiary. So the first thing, you look at the colors here. I find it real interesting that the shading on this, how it shifts. It's actually getting desaturated and it's getting a little bit cooler. Usually, it's not a hard fast rule, but generally, if you wanted to do shading, you would put it, you'd make it warmer on the shadow, like this. I mean, she's practically purple, or like a deep magenta, because you get the shading more or less more correct. I mean, you're desaturating on the shadows, which is an interesting. That's something you want to do more for a cast shadow. Usually, you'd want to saturate your shadows more. See, it's getting desaturated, but you shifted it correctly here, right? It's getting warmer in the shadows, so the shading here is correct. The shading here, I mean, I guess you could do that, but just you're desaturating your shadows. It just tells me you're not confident with where your shadows are and how dark they should be. Also, I would just say understand where your light source is. It seems to be coming from here on the face, but look at it in the background. There's no cast shadows anywhere, and the shadow in here is interesting because that suggests that it's light's coming from here. So there's some confusion there. I would say use more references, like on these roses. Not quite how roses, they're not set up like packing peanuts. Roses go kind of more in a spiral, swirly, like a polywhirl swirl, right? Just use more reference for that. I mean, I would say plan your picture out a little bit more. If you look, I probably did several sketches before I even considered doing a rough sketch on the computer, right? Just if you lengthen your process, if you put a little more care into that, your results are going to improve dramatically. Because just to do this one picture, I did a lot of reference sketching. Not to mention, I got pictures of dresses, pictures of chalices, pictures of fountains, pictures of courtyards, an actual rose bush, look to it, cypress trees. I actually even looked up a plant that's orange like the one in yours, which is called an orange, I don't remember. It's an orange leaf. This is a tropical plant. It actually exists. Another thing is when you're plotting out backgrounds, find out where your eye line is at. This is very confusing. Here, I'm assuming the eye line is right here. And what do I mean by the eye line? That is where your level is at. You got to think not just about what you're drawing, but your relationship is with the subject. Where they are in space, but where you are in space, where the viewer is, where you are as the photographer is. And it seems like the eye line's about right here. And the reason I say that is look at this ellipsis on this top right here. Pull that up. Notice if it was further down from the eye line, that's what it would look like. It would get rounder and rounder as you go down until it disappears from your visual cone. And as it goes up, it would level out, and then you would start seeing the underside. Right? So this is about where the eye's at. Now look at this. This top right here. This suggests that this is on a hill, some sort of incline. This too. This seems like this is on a hill. But where this gets confused is this water. Water would seek the lowest level. It would level out. It wouldn't be shaped like this. The water would pour out if it was at this angle. It'd be spilling out of here. So either you don't know where your eye level is, or there's a hill and you made a mistake on the water. Knowing where your eye level is very important. It allows you to understand, right? This is where how big she would be. See, the eye level is the same continuously. That's how big she would be if she was sitting by the fountain. This is how big she would be if she was sitting here. If they're not, now if she was on a hill, she'd be higher up like this. Bing. Right? That makes some sense. But I would just say consider that. You're trying to do 3-point perspective. I would say master 1-point perspective first. So I went with 1-point perspective on mine. Now the eye level on mine is right around eye level here, so that means you're kind of squatting down, looking at her, maybe sitting on a bench across from her, maybe squatting down like a photographer, and you look at here, with the ellipsis here, is consistent with the foreshortening here. Now let's see where, that's where she would be sitting. See? Boom. And then even up on the bushes. It makes your backgrounds feel like reality. So understanding where your eye level is really important if you're going to plot out these extravagant backgrounds. Just your relationship with where you are in space. People don't think about that sometimes. So, in summation, I would say learn your anatomy. First off, improve your eye. Then learn your anatomy. Learn your proportion. Kind of understand color theory, because this bright orange is distracting from the face, which is your main point of focus. Study perspective, how to find your eye line, find your horizon line. That's important. You know, a little bit more on composition. Probably should have gone for a more vertical canvas here, long canvas. Use more references, and then lengthen your process. But other than that, I think that if you keep doing this, if you do these, take this advice, you have a very interesting look on things that I look forward to see what you can do. Once you improve your eye, just even that one thing, and you have a creative vision. You're ambitious. You finished a picture. You actually did a goddamn background, and I really think that you could do it. So I'll quickly go over mine. Have her sitting in some sort of Italian style court. I went with white eyelashes, kind of like Yolandi Visser from Die Antwoord. Kind of a Thandie Newton, Rashida Jones look to her. Kind of went with wavier hair. Yeah, boom, got some lighting effects there. Kind of a princess dress, fountain here. Did some little water effects. Cypress tree. I did a rose bush. Now I kind of rushed this whole thing, but get the idea across.